I think that when it comes to creativity, you might like find it easy to create or you might not, which is what I found the case for me. Going on this journey where I'm trying to create is like such a process. And it's taken me so much to get here and to like turn on my camera and to be able to speak to you all and allowing myself to like basically even just put images and sound together and creating something out of that. But I think there's been so many pivotal moments for me or catalysts that have led me to being able to express myself more and more. And that's why I'd love to talk about this creative journey because I think it's such a crucial part for so many of us, and it's such an important aspect of our lives for so many of us, but yet we're not able to like tap into this part of ourselves for so many different reasons. And I think some of those reasons is like fear or not being able to tap into who we truly are or not thinking we're good enough, just all of these ongoing unhelpful thoughts. I think I found like that there's so much judgment in this creative process, and that's been, I think, the hardest part for me to like get to a place where I can create and not judge myself and let myself be who I really am. I struggle with expressing myself a lot still, but I feel like now I also have so many outlets to let my creativity come out. And I think all of those things help me to like understand myself better, but also understand life better. Because I think if you're a creative person, it can kind of help you in how you see life and in how you process life, I think. I also think that when you work your way from the inside out and when you work on healing parts of yourself that aren't really healed, is when it becomes easier to create. And I actually thought for a long time it was the opposite, because you always think of like the troubled artist. But I also think that actually true healing is how I'm able to like process a lot of things and express that through art. So that's also been a bit of an interesting one for me, is like actually healing is really cool, and you can 100% still create your art and create your music and express deep parts of yourself. You don't have to not be healed to do that. Yeah, in fact, I think it kind of helps even more. So I think, yeah, getting to know these parts of myself, sitting in the uncomfortable, tending to my inner child, they're all things that have actually helped me to create like never before. So that's why I think it's such a journey inward for us who maybe can't create as easily, who aren't just growing up and we find it so easy to pick up a pencil and start drawing or a paintbrush and start painting. Growing up, I actually didn't think that I was creative at all. I was like obsessed with other people and their art, but I was like, no, like I'm just not creative. And I actually used to write, which I think can be creative, and I think it was for me. I used to write and express myself through writing, but I didn't think that was creative at all. And I was so afraid of like picking up a pencil and drawing or picking up a paintbrush and drawing, but would like just obsess over other people's art and be so immersed in it and be like so wowed by it. And it really, really attracted me. And I was like, I always had this feeling, I think, inside of myself of like, I'd love to express myself in whatever way they're expressing themselves, but I just can't find that inside of me because I'm not creative. So completely just putting a cap on my ability to express myself. And yeah, I think when we're creative, I am 100% jumping from one thought to another, but I think there's like, I was talking about those catalysts, and I think there's catalysts to allowing ourselves to create. And for me, it was like writing. And then from writing, I started kind of drawing a little bit in my diary as part of this writing process. And it wasn't anything great, but it doesn't have to be. It's about undoing those blocks and also just being a beginner at something. So I let myself to like create those little bits, and then from that I kind of started getting interested in painting, and I was like, oh, like I'd love to paint. So I started like painting a little bit here and there, and that was so scary for me because I was like just I guess all these dealing with all these judgmental thoughts of I'm not good enough, I can't do this, and I also started getting this thing of like I'd paint and I'd start to like the painting and the way it was coming out, so I'd stop because I was like, I'm gonna ruin it. If I keep going, I'm gonna ruin it. And I think it's that like fear of not being good enough. And I think it's also a fear of being a beginner at something and accepting that like you're just going to start something out and you don't have to be perfect at it. I think it's also that. Yeah, I just really, really wanted to do all of those things and now to make videos and then let myself express myself. But I think that journey is like a, like from the outside it looks like it's like a creative journey, and it is, but I think for me what was also going on inside is a lot of like healing, a lot of having to love myself, a lot of having to allow myself to be who I am and to express myself, because just so much judgment comes up, I think, when you start to express yourself. At least it did for me. And now I'm at a place where I can allow myself to express myself in different forms, and I'll actually too, to like fully get immersed in this process of creating. So but yeah, now I feel like I've finally been able to get to a place where I can allow myself to create without as much judgment. And sometimes I even just get like fully immersed in my creativity. Like I lose track of time. I get in this like flow state, and it's been oh, it's so beautiful. Like I love that, and it's become such a part of who I am. But yeah, it's definitely not always the case, and I still judge myself a lot, but it's gotten so much easier. I think essentially what like really helped on this journey, which is what I'm trying to express, is that it's a lot of internal work, as I've said, and I feel like for me at least, allowing myself to be on this creative journey where I'm able to just let myself to create whatever I want to create. And I still struggle with that, like even just putting the camera in front of me today was such a challenge. But I think feeling your feelings and feeling your pain and not letting it consume you, but like feeling it still, if that makes sense. I think that that's like such a helpful thing when you're not able to create, because I feel like there's reasons to why we can't create, and some, like I feel like a lot of us feel such a calling to create, whether it's in like the corner of your house and you want to keep it private to yourself, or whether you feel this need to like share with other people. I feel like a lot of us have that and we're not doing that, and there's reasons for that. And I think if we can tap into those reasons why we're not able to create and feel that and try to like move past it and go on this journey, I think that yeah, it'll eventually get easier. And I'm still very much on that journey and learning so much, but I'm just so passionate at the moment of like in like talking about creativity and what that means and where that's bringing me and what's that letting me to express and how I got to even be able to express that. I'm just so passionate about that at the moment, because for a long time I just didn't think I was creative whatsoever. So I think it's really beautiful to get to a point where I can finally express that. And I think it's such a loving thing as well to do for yourself. Like it's like this inner child work. It feels like just a radical act of self-love to allow yourself to create whatever you want to create and to share with other people if you feel like you want to share. I think there's also this thing of like I mentioned about like being a beginner at something, and I think that that's really, really hard for a lot of us, being a beginner at something. And I think it's also because we're not really seeing a lot of people being beginners at things. Oftentimes when we're online or when we're seeing people creating their art, we're seeing like the product of just many years of creating. And there is 100% some people out there who are like showing the process and they're beginners at it, and that's so inspiring and so encouraging. And one of my favorite YouTubers had told me she left her videos up from like years ago, and I've seen them and they've inspired me so much. But yeah, I think we find it so hard to like be beginners at things, and to like, especially if it's to do with like sharing it with other people, that's really, really hard. So yeah, more of being beginners at things. And I love seeing people who are starting things out, and I love seeing people just let themselves share whatever's actually inside of them. And I have this other YouTuber that I love. Her name is I Understood on YouTube, and she always says that the collective is dreaming through you. And I feel like that's what that is. It's when you allow yourself to be a beginner at things, you're letting other people be inspired, you're letting other people see what you're creating, and feeling feeling your feeling yourself through their expression, and feeling seen through their expression. And I think that that's so beautiful. Yeah, that's one of the ways that I'm able to allow myself to create, because other people had the courage to allow themselves to be beginners and to allow themselves to be imperfect. And that's what I love about so many people on YouTube that share different things. Like, some of my favorite people that do that, I've just seen them grow throughout time. And I think that that's such a beautiful gift to the consciousness around us, the collective consciousness around us. It's such a beautiful gift to give to each other, being able to be who you are, being able to express who you are, and being able to be a beginner. I think that's so beautiful. And yeah, I'm still very much struggling with that. And the more I'm becoming who I really am, the easier it's becoming for me to create. I'd love to hear what your experience of creating is. Was it always easy for you? Was it challenging? How did you get to creating what you really want to create? How did you get yourself to allowing yourself to create? Or are you still struggling with that? What's stopping you to really create what you want to create? I'd love to hear that. Yeah, I hope for those of us that find it hard to create, we can start to slowly create and to be who we are, because I think creativity for many of us is such a big part of who we are, but we're so afraid to step into it. So yeah, I hope we can all create and be ourselves and be who we are.